Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's assembly. Today we're going to be looking at the concept of resilience, and hopefully over the next 10 to 15 minutes we'll be able to take you through what resilience actually is, why it's important that we consider it, provide you with an opportunity to reflect on how resilient you are as an individual, and suggest some strategies to develop or increase your resilience. So let's start with what it is. Now, if we've got resilience, you won't end up looking like the toddler that's in that picture. So resilience is defined as an individual's ability to properly adapt to stress and adversity. That's the dictionary definition. You could, though, think of it as how do you respond as an individual when things don't go your way or the way that you were planning them out? Do you carry on and find a different way and have the sort of mental strength to think, well, that hasn't worked that way, what else could I do differently next time? Or do you give up? Because that's really one end or the other. So it's about stress and adversity and barriers and obstacles and how you respond to those. Now, they can come from a variety of different places. It could be from your family. It could be from your friends, an argument with your best friend yesterday, and so that's affecting you today. Your resilience is not what it was before. It could be that you're worried about your health, or you're worried about somebody else's health, or it could be any of the worries associated with school. And that's not to mention at the moment maybe stress brought about by the COVID situation and everything and all the changes in our lives that go along with that. And I think at this stage it's useful to consider that resilience isn't something that you have or you haven't. It's not that sort of binary concept. What it is actually you can be, in 1 week, you could be hugely resilient, and then some of the issues that are on the screen there might happen, and the same thing, you could find yourself in the same situation the following week, and you can't bounce back from it. So it's not a got it or not got it concept. It's a what strength of resilience have you got at that moment. And I say it moves up and down for different people in different contexts. Just to unpack that a little bit for you then. So we're talking about your ability to bounce back and have belief in yourself that you're doing something worthwhile, that you can do it. It's about your strengths and you knowing what your strengths are and you knowing what perhaps things that you're not as good at, and then responding to those. So what are your talents? What can you use? How can you use those to solve different problems in your life and develop different resources to overcome these barriers and to help you bounce back? Above all, for me, it's about managing emotions. So you don't allow yourself to be overloaded. You don't allow yourself for things to become too much for you. It's about recognizing in many cases that you're getting towards that stage before you actually get there. So I want to give you a minute to think about how resilient you are. So it could be that you're physically resilient, so you're very fit, you're athletic, so you don't get tired very easily. That's great. It could be that you're mentally resilient, and so you've got that inner strength to keep going and to bounce back from things. Or it could be that you're emotionally resilient, how you respond to setbacks. But just take 30 seconds now to think about how resilient you are. Okay, we're going to put you into it can get you to consider an experiment. So if I gave you a potato and a straw and asked you to place the straw through the middle of the potato, let's take 30 seconds, discuss it with the people around you. How would you approach that? What would you do? So 30 seconds, think about as many different approaches as you can. Now let's imagine that you've tried every one of those approaches and none of them worked. How would you respond to that? You give up, throw the potato away, throw it on the floor, throw it at somebody else, say it's impossible, it can't be done, it's how would you respond to it? Because that, I know you might think it's a silly example, but that shows your resilience. Would you think, right, I've tried these 5 approaches, none of them have worked, so what might the next 5 be? Or have you just given up? So that gives you a measure of resilience. Now imagine that instead of that experiment with the potato, something else has gone wrong in your life. So you were planning to do something and it hasn't happened. It hasn't worked. How do you respond to that? Give up? Or think about, well, what are the other ways that I can approach this? Because what we want you to do is that second one. There's lots of things in school where things might not work out. You might have tried really hard on an essay or on an assessment, and you haven't got the grade that you want. Walking up the stairs in Nethersole last week, I heard 2 Year 13s discussing how disappointed they were with an essay that they'd handed in, that they hadn't received the grade that they wanted. What was interesting to me with this assembly in mind is that they're different responses. One of them said, well, I tried really hard on that and I still haven't got it, so what's the point? The other student said, well, okay, you've tried really hard on that. I did as well. I haven't got it. Maybe next time I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to try and improve it. And those different responses, the responses of those 2 students, demonstrates what we mean about resilience and the different strategies that you can use. It is, though, something I said earlier, it is something that can be developed. It's not finite. It's not you that's it. You've got a limited amount of it. You can develop it. You can build it up over time. And certainly I know that I'm a more resilient person now than I've been in the past. Some of you will know that both of my children were born prematurely. My youngest son at 27 weeks, and that's something. If you told me right back before I had children that you'll cope with this and you'll come out the other side and it'll be fine, I don't think I'd have believed you. But it's something that over time in that situation you can find that you can adapt and you can develop that resilience and you can come through the other side. Sometimes even if that is something major that happened to my family. So how can they be developed? I'm going to take you through some strategies now, but there are more ideas. There's lots of different websites, but the one that I found was the clearest when I was researching assembly is the resources at mind.org.uk. And they'll give you more information about the strategies that I'm going to talk about. So firstly, you can make some lifestyle changes. And these are very straightforward things. So you can be more assertive. Try speaking your mind, not be rude to people, but try speaking your mind so that people know what it is you're thinking. Try and use some relaxation techniques. If you know a way that, something that helps you to relax, then make time for it. If you don't know what helps you to relax, then try a range of different things and see which ones work. Find times for your interests and your hobbies, particularly maybe if they're physical or they take your mind off it. Make time for your friends, because in that way, you've got time to open up to somebody. They're not just a distraction. There's an opportunity there for you to express to somebody how it is you're feeling. And find a balance between work and play and relaxation. So it doesn't matter what type of student you are, whether you're the ostrich, fingers in her ears, right? None of things. I'm not interested in deadlines. I'm ignoring it all. Whether you're somebody who's incredibly chilled and sort of drifting, or you're the multitasker where you're trying to do everything all at once. Each of those needs a balance. The ostrich needs to become aware of what's going on and accept it. The snail's pacer actually needs to, up the work and dial down the relaxation, and the multitasker needs to lose the works slightly and find more time for friends and relaxation. So it doesn't matter what type of student you are, you need to find a balance. You need to make sure you're looking after yourself physically as well. So you're getting enough sleep, which is easier said than done. Neither of my children sleep, so I know sometimes it's really difficult. But try to get enough sleep and be active. So walk, run, any sport. It doesn't have to be organised sport. It could just be a kick around. But sleep, active exercise, and then eat healthily. Thirdly, you need to give yourself a break. And it's about being kind to yourself. It's okay to stop sometimes. Not all the time, because you need the balance. But take a break from what you're doing, particularly if you can sense that actually your resilience is lower today or this week than it has been previously. Find the time to stop and think about it. Reward yourself for achievements. And if you've got any conflict in your life, then do what you can to resolve. It's not always possible to resolve every conflict straightforwardly, but if you can, don't let them fester. Don't let them continue, because that over time, that will erode your resilience as well. And forgive yourself. If something goes wrong, don't beat yourself up about it. Think, what can I do now? What's the next step? Fourthly, use a support network. Now, it's okay to feel that you need support. And for most people, that's friends or family that you can talk to and share how it is you're feeling and that your resilience is lower. That in itself, that sharing, will develop resilience. Or you could talk to someone in school. You could talk to your tutor. You can talk to staff in student services. Any member of staff that you feel you have a relationship with would be happy to talk to you about how you're feeling and suggest some strategies to help. So in summary then, if you plant doubt in your mind, that can be self-fulfilling. So let's try and avoid that. Testing things out leads to better solution. That problem-solving approach, using your strengths and talents. Sometimes tackling something directly is the best thing to do. And overcoming that difficulty, being resilient and knowing, looking back on something and realising you've made it through that is a fantastic feeling. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm not sure about my resilience and I'm not sure about developing it, then the final two questions to you is, if not now, when? When are you going to try and develop your resilience if you're not going to try and do it now? And if not you, then who is going to do that? And my final thought is, if you'd like to find out how to do the potato experiment, you can click on the YouTube link there. Have a really good rest of the day. Thank you.